game or something. I mean, we're 2.5 minutes in. I can't state that because of that missed call or no call or the change in call that the other 92 minutes or whatever is just null and void. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I do think it did change the momentum in Atlanta's favor because it set a precedent for how Atlanta was going to play this game. I think that was one of the things from my perspective, looking at the lineup and not knowing what was going to take place on defense and how Atlanta was going to come at a team that's been putting up a really high number of points. I think this was the only game this season that they haven't scored in. It's the only team that shut them out. I think it's the only team or only game they haven't scored points in. It's been 3 or 4 goals every game that they've played. And so looking at Atlanta's lineup and deficiencies in the lineup, particularly on defense, is Atlanta going to sit back and try to weather the barrage from LAFC and then try to catch them on a quick counter with Almiron and maybe a quick run up the line on Ambrose, and like I said, just try to kind of come up with something, because it was a formation in the lineup that we weren't familiar with faces that we just hadn't seen that before against a team that we hadn't seen before. So with McCann's tackle and then the subsequent yellow that continues the pace of play, it sets the tone for how Atlanta was going to really attack the game in a literal sense, that they weren't going to sit back, wait for LAFC, and then just take advantage of chances. They were going to create the chances and establish the tone for the game moving forward, which I think that was maintained for the rest of the game as a result.
Yeah, Bob Bradley's a crybaby. So is Carlos Vela. You talked for a while, so I gotta go back to that.
I had to talk for a while, Tim. That was really hard to do.
I apologize, you guys.
Don't touch anything.
I won't touch anything else. It sounds like maybe the video's better. If not, then we're just going to leave it that way for the remainder of forever. So, yeah. Kevin stepped in and he talked for 20 minutes.
I need something to drink.
Yeah. Isn't that the right word? Getting goated? Like to get...
No, it's goated.
Is it with a T?
No, you're gonna spend time Googling goated whenever you haven't spoke for 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I was correct. Sorry. That's the English minor from college to me. I was like, okay, where do I want to go with this? LAFC. I think the way that we attacked this game was perfect. Again, Chris McCann fouled. Bob Bradley can say what he wants about how if that foul would have happened, this game would have been completely different. Surely it would. And that way we would have parked the bus like we did in Minnesota. And we would have come out with, let's call it a draw.
Yeah.
Because their attackers really weren't doing a whole hell of a lot. They had one shot on goal, I think, and it was a dribbling shot. And they almost had another whenever Miles Robinson tracked back and was a beast. But aside from that, we really didn't see anything from them. And it's not that they're a very talented team. So they have a lot of experience on that back line outside of John Moutinho, who showed his inexperience with that terrible handball.
Yes.
But you have Laurent Simon, who is a twat. Seaman. Lawrence Seaman. Who's a twat. We've said it year over year. Really don't like the guy. Hated him whenever he's in Montreal. Really don't like him in LAFC. That elbow, that's going to get him in trouble one of these days.
I did love hearing the crowd boo him for the rest of the game.
Okay, so it's fine to boo that bald guy, but whenever the other bald guy is playing for Toronto and you're booing him, it sucks, right?
You suck, Tim.
Are we gonna boo him the whole season though, Kevin? When we play him again, our away fans, are we going to boo him again whenever we're at StubHub or wherever they play?
No. I don't think they're going to boo him in the next game that the team plays that's irrelevant to the game that they just played this week. I don't think that's going to take place, Tim.
No, but wait. I expected more from that team, though. You can't...
Maybe this is a conversation about U.S. men's national team. You expected more out of the team. One of the players just you felt inclined to boo for the rest of the time that they were on the field. I see where this is going.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think John Moutinho is going to be playing left back for.
Why didn't they start Pulisic?
Yeah, it's true. Why? Is anybody else upset that Bob Bradley didn't call out Weston McKennie for that game? He doesn't have that power anymore.
Play your kids.
He's gonna go LA Clippers. This basketball reference for
one person.
Yeah, for one person in the live chat. Doc Rivers, who did everything he could to get his son onto the team and plays him constantly. When are we going to see Bob Bradley do like a big trade? He's going to trade Diego Rossi. He's going to trade all 1.8 million next year of TAM and then go.
He does his Laton trade just for
just to go get Michael Bradley. Yes. So anyway, I expected a lot more out of the back line. I can't sit there and think that a back line as experienced as theirs outside of John Moutinho is going, when you have the names like Simon and Beitashour playing in the back, that they're going to allow 5 goals. Granted, 2 of them were on PKs, but they still played pretty poorly. They were pretty porous. But part of that, I think, is a 3-5-2 that we play is pretty unexpected. I think a lot of teams see that we're not going for the ball constantly. We're not trying for possession constantly during the game. That we're going to hit them on a counterattack.
I forget who it was. It might have been Matt Doyle talking about it in post game, talking about the image or the approach Atlanta United is taking this season in reference to last season, where last season Atlanta United was that team that was gonna hit you quick, get you on a counter, get you on your heels, and then just cram it down into the box. And then that was how they got exposed by teams that weathered that barrage and then countered that back. This team this year, so far, regardless of the lineup, has been a team content to just kind of sit back and just play what opportunities fall when they take place while still maintaining the tools in their arsenal to come up with a quick counter.
How much?
They just seem more self-aware of what their strengths are as a unit.
How much of that the first year was playing how you want to play or setting a lineup the way you want to play the entire season, trying to fit into one mold and getting comfortable in that. And then now, after a year of experience, getting new players into the system, you see you can fit into a different role. I mean, we saw the 3-5-2 at the end of last year whenever we had some injuries, and we saw it in the playoffs, and it did. I mean, we held Columbus without a goal for 115 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, so how much do you think
or 120 minutes?
How much do you think that same thing is taking place right now with LAFC? I thought about that this weekend.
Oh, dude, they're fine.
They're kind of figuring. But do you think that there's any of that where they're trying to figure out who they are as a team? Because they really are playing. I mean, again, we forget that because it seems like we're kind of removed from that. But this team is facing adversity for the first time. The first 3 weeks of the season were huge weeks for this team, and then they come in, they're winning 3-0 in a new rivalry for them with Galaxy, and then everything falls apart. Now they're on the road against one of the best teams in the East, and they fall 5-0.
But I think it's also just a testament to how much better the East is still than the West. We have a far more ambition. Granted, LAFC is showing more ambition than almost anybody in the West right now. And I think that's great. I think it's an apt comparison to talk about these two teams because the attacking mindset that LAFC has right now. I mean, you have that front three. Actually, I would call it a front four between Orena and Diego Rossi and Carlos Vela and Latif Blessing. You have to account for all 4 of those guys at any given moment.
Absolutely.
The one thing that they're missing, and again, another point I heard on a podcast this morning or last night is they need a central defensive midfielder just to help stop the gaps. If they had a Jeff Lorenowitz in front of Walker Zimmerman and Simon, they'd probably be a lot less porous.
Right.
It's their first year though, man. They're showing far more ambition than their cohorts in the Western Conference, and it's paying off. They're 2-2 right now, and they've had a pretty tough schedule. So I don't think their acumen right now, I don't think it's anything to sneeze at.
No.
Like they're great on the attack. Again, they have a lot of experience in defense. I don't know, man. It's just the endurance the past 2 games has really let them down because, again, they were up 3-0 against LA Galaxy and then down only 2-0 to us before losing 5-0. So,
right. So somebody in the live chat, I couldn't see because we switched over, made a good point about Gressel's ball over to Martinez, which was perfect. I think Gressel had maybe his best game I've seen so far this week. What do you think?
Yeah, to the point where, to me, again, I think I said it last week that to me, Parkhurst is probably my MVP so far this year, just because of how great he's been in the back. What are we at? 3 clean sheets?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? No, we let one in against Maddox. Maybe it's 2 out of 5. No, anyway, sorry, losing track there. He's been fantastic, but Julian Gressel has been amazing.
I mean,
he's kind of the engine that makes everything tick. And Dean says that, it's easy to score a goal whenever you're wide open and the ball just rolls past everybody. That's true, but at the same time, that's awareness. But again, that's teams not knowing how to deal with this U shape that we're throwing at them, because they're going to have to collapse inward, and then you're going to have to leave somebody open on that attack for the most part.
To that point, yes, it's easy to score whenever you're in an open goal, but do you realize why that transpired? Gressel's in place and he's taking space in the correct way. But I think what's the point that I made in the preseason about Barco and Nagbe was that we're creating a culture or an environment where players that are comfortable with the ball at their feet are now pulling pressure off of the main talent that defenders are going to flock to, that they did last year, that were able to shut down Atlanta United in Almiron, Martinez, and Villalba. So as a result of that, even though Barco's not there, the same thing's taking place. That's what took place on that first goal, where Martinez has 3 defenders surrounding him coming near post to shut down his angle. That frees up Gressel on the outside. It's the same thing that allows Gressel to get to the wing and cross those balls over, which he has an inherent ability to be able to do, which we talked about last year. His one touch across the body from the right side to the left side of the box is better than I think anybody else on the team.
That cross that he played into Joseph was picture perfect. He led him. He gave him an early cross, which you don't see a lot from young players. I think a lot of times you'll see them try and dribble the ball closer to the touchline before they make that touch. And he just lofted that perfectly. He saw that Joseph was making that run, put it perfect. I couldn't ask for more from him during this game. Last game, the game before, I think he's been fantastic.
Agreed. So that leads me to my next point, which has been kind of circling around, which is, we'll still talk a little bit more about this week, but I think that's the bulk of my comments nonetheless. In regards to Gressel or the lineup, I think we most likely see Escobar back this week for all intents and purposes. That would be my assumption. If he's just out for concussion protocol, it's been 3 or 4 weeks now. I think he should be okay to come back. Should be cleared at least. Garza,
and the international break was in between that too.
Right. Garza, who knows? But
are you missing Garza right now?
No. But the biggest point that I'm going to get to is we assume this is the week that Barco will be cleared to play. And what are your thoughts about the lineup? What are your thoughts about what obligations Tata may or may not have to start Barco, or where does he fit back into this lineup?
These are 2 separate conversations. I think the first, let me scoot up a little bit. I think the first conversation to be had here is what happens this weekend if he's cleared to play and he's in the 18. He's a substitute. I think there's no doubt about it. Protocol, standard operating procedure says you don't start a guy after a long layoff like that. So to me, that absolutely, he comes off the bench this weekend. So what comes of his permanent spot back into this team? We had a heated discussion, kind of heated. It was kind of a spirited debate in the Slack earlier today about this very topic. You spent $15 million on him. He's the most expensive signing in league history. What do you... I don't think, and we said it last year, because Kenwyne Jones was not getting any playing time and he was on a big contract for what he was. Tata doesn't care what you make. He doesn't care what the team paid for you. He's going to go with who's winning him games.
I'm just saying, the one game Barco played, we lost big time. First game of the season is the only game he's played, right? He didn't play second week, did he? Or was it the second week that he got injured?
Barco?
Yeah.
No, he got injured in preseason.
No, I thought he played against Houston. I could have swore he started playing against Houston, and that's when he got injured.
No,
did he get injured the last game?
We didn't see him get injured. Yeah,
I thought for sure he played against Houston. My point goes out the window. I think we still lost with him.
Yeah, he hasn't played since the Charleston game. Yeah, since he scored against Charleston.
Really?
Yeah, he went off.
That's
why the joke was that he got injured consummating his marriage that night.
That's right. Never mind. I'm drunk. I'm just gonna go home.
Yeah, Brian is bored saying training. Yeah, that's what quote unquote training. Yeah. That's how he got injured.
Sorry guys.
The Colonel with the age old question of Kevin, have you been drinking? Yes.
So Tim, I agree. Regardless of how much you spend on a player, I think it's an investment and it's your responsibility to I don't want to say protect that investment because I want to see him play, but I want to see him play and be utilized in a way that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that as soon as he's cleared to play that he necessarily should be starting, and the lineup have to all pivot to adjust and account for his presence in the game whenever things aren't broken now, clearly.
No, things aren't broken, but at the same time, and we had some people talking about it in the live chat in the first stream, again, sorry for that, guys, that Tito hasn't looked himself. Maybe in the past game and a half, he didn't look great against LAFC. Granted, I thought his play against Minnesota, aside from the final product, he did his job. I mean, he got loose. Yeah. He got out in front of their defense, and I don't know. It's a difficult decision to be in, and I don't think there's a wrong answer in this because the kid is obviously talented. There's no doubt about that. He has played in huge game situations down in the Copa Sudamerica, playing in really heated environment down in Argentina in a big cup game, and showed out. That was the reason probably we were kind of held hostage to pay that ransom, as it were. And you do have to see what he's capable of on the field. We have seen it in the preseason. Yeah. He played pretty well. You saw shades of greatness, him operating alongside Miggy and Nagbe in Nashville on that shitty field. You saw him score that peach in Charleston.
Yeah. But the point is, not the point, another thought is, what happens if we don't start him? He comes in and we lose. I think that's what's going to take place. And that's my fear, is that we lose to NYCFC. Barco is cleared to play. He comes in as a late substitution. Everybody's like, why didn't you play Barco? Why didn't you start Barco? Regardless of it's a win or lose, I don't think that's the right decision to make. If we're going to lose the game, we're going to lose the game. I would rather him play at his full potential than to force something that affects the rest of the team that's playing really well right now in the way that they're playing, than have to adjust everything and still potentially throw that off.
Yeah, we got a couple things in the live chat. One of which I'll say for the NYCFC discussion from a new person in the live chat in the trap, Dirty Bird person, saying got to baptize Barco's first action at home. Maybe he can start in LA. Okay. Maybe we do see him. And Kelly saying he's not match fit. Yeah, he's there's no way he's match fit at this point.
No.
And Brittany
sent him down to Atlanta United too.
Yeah, dude, it's like a simulation game for a simulated game for pitchers.
We do not want to put him down there.
Why don't they have the equivalent of that? I guess they do. Like in Europe, they'll go play with the U23s. You got like this 27-year-old guy going and playing with the youngsters just to get a game in.
My dream is that Barco because Villa didn't play this past week, right? They were on a bye this past week. My hope is that both Barco and Villa get subbed at the exact same time with 20 minutes left in the game and just see what happens.
Yeah, the wonky MLS schedule is wonky. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that. Brittany asked saying he should be a 20-minute sub. Jay Riddle, Barco could be a power sub for the next 3 to 4 matches.
The last 20 minutes, Villa and Barco, because I don't think Villa's coming in to start whenever he comes back. It's been a couple weeks now.
What's held him out? I don't know.
I think he pulled a hamstring or something in practice.
You don't fuck with that with like a 33-year-old
and then he was getting ready to. He was cleared to play 2 weeks ago, but then during pregame warmups, he felt something that didn't feel quite right, and so they took him off the roster.
You know what didn't feel? You know what probably did it was signing the Cooligans to that media deal. I think that probably messed him up. I think we probably don't see him the rest of the season.
That was definitely it.
Oh God. That was, yeah, absolutely. That was it.
So, other thoughts on the game, positives, negatives, or otherwise, because we're coming up on an hour now.
Romario Williams with that beautiful left-footed shot that was just pinpoint accurate, getting inside the side post.
Yeah, that was clutch.
And you could see like it's a 4-0 game. He's obviously probably been given the instructions to go play the ball out, go play the dummy, go get in the corner. You're a target man. You can hold the ball up. Just don't mess up. Whatever. He's like, nah, fuck this. Like he's the way that he like overlapped or whatever. I don't know how to describe it. Whenever he just juked that defender and got inside and then immediately just ripped one with his left foot and got in. You saw the weight just come off of his shoulders. I mean,
similar to what Barco.
This is his third team in MLS. I think. Well, no, granted, he played for the under 23s or maybe Orlando City 2, Orlando City B, but played for was it NYCFC or
I can't remember.
No, Montreal. Sorry, he played 2 games. Anyway, and you heard him in the post game whenever he's his first goal in MLS. Is just happy to get that off the books. And I was happy to see that from him too.
Great goal for Martinez. Another second week in a row with a great header goal, which was. Also
Are we going to have to?
Or no, was it? It wasn't the second week in a row.
No, he didn't score in Minnesota.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah,
that's what everybody's making the joke about. His scoring streak or his scoreless streak was snapped this game. Are we going to have to deal with every time he gets subbed him ripping off his tape and his shin guards?
Yeah,
I mean it's first world problems, right? You deal with it whenever you have a guy scoring at an almost 1-to-1 ratio, but at the same time, it's still a little whatever. Different discussion, I guess. Any negatives from the Atlanta United team?
I just saw a couple of moments of inexperience, like I said, out of Miles Robinson. Just some awkward touches that that aren't any real big cause for concern that I think will work themselves out with time and experience. That may have just been a result of the pressure and situation. Overall, I thought it was a great performance, obviously, but yeah, I don't really have a ton of negatives other than a few situational things. Nothing on a big picture. You know what I mean?
I just had a bunch of the live chat come in. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Have we talked about the TIFO? We haven't talked about the TIFO.
I thought the TIFO was great.
So we got the Colonel saying TIFO is bad, as in bad. Jay was saying that was the first time he helped rig a TIFO. He said it was fun stuff. Yeah, and everybody's autocorrect is going off, them putting in Tito instead of Tifo. It seems like it was kind of torn through the middle. The only thing I would say is it looked more like Freddie Adu to me than it did Darlington Nagbe.
Yeah.
So,
MLS Espresso is having a lot of fun with it on Twitter.
Yeah, he is. He's like having too much fun with it on Twitter.
Okay, so moving on.
NYCFC this week, Dirty Bird person was saying, if you're NYCFC, you don't throw away. Actually, no. Where did that point come from? Brittany S is asking or saying, hopefully NYCFC is tired after the RSL game before Atlanta United plays them. So they have a game.
Oh, that's right. They've got the game Wednesday night. Right?
They play Wednesday night against RSL
on the road, right?
In Utah, yes.
That's a lot of backtracking, back and forth across the country.
Yeah, because what they really should do is go train at Oglethorpe the way that Orlando did whenever they had to get.
That's tough. Whenever they that's going to be a tough stretch. Absolutely.
So Dirty Bird
granted, they are coming off of a bye week.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, a bye week doesn't give you 2 games worth of reserve energy.
I get it.
Dirty Bird person did say, if you're NYCFC, you don't throw away 3 points. And he said, or else they could come to our building, lose anyway, and be out 6. They'll play RSL. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Another positive: this fan base stalking Stefan Mbia.
Yeah,
it's great to see. I mean, seeing everybody go in and stalk his Instagram to see that he's on a travel day, going to see that there's a flight from where he lives. I guess he's in Madrid, a Delta flight going to Atlanta.
Yeah, they're like, it can only be Atlanta or New York City.
Yeah.
And then they find out that flight is connecting in New York City to Atlanta. And then, I mean, it wasn't crazy. It wasn't a crazy showing because there it's not a confirmed signing right now, but I thought it was great that there were a handful of people that showed up at the airport to take pictures.
I think you saw Kyrie, I believe his name is, out there. He was the one fan that was sitting out there. There was a Fox 5 crew guy there because you see that giant video camera that's sitting behind an Atlanta United banner. And then obviously there was that limo driver there to pick him up.
Right.
And then there was some footage of some fan footage that was caught of him going and signing some autographs. He looked very happy. Apparently he was in attendance on Saturday.
Yes.
So what happens? He replaces Larry, right? You're talking about a 6'3" stud who played, I want to say, somewhere around 50 games for Sevilla. Was playing, I believe, in Champions League with them. He went and got his payday too. He went and played in China for 2 years. I think he probably got some buku bucks to go play over there, like a lot of players are doing right now. So it might be a Zlatan situation where we don't have room for a DP. A green card is inbound, obviously.
Well,
otherwise somebody's getting sent to USL.
That was the thing that a lot of people were discussing was, do we have enough allocation money to actually develop a contract with him? Because it's going to have to be weighted heavily on some sort of endorsement deal or just wanting to play, because we don't have a DP spot available.
No. He's definitely going to be a TAM guy.
Right.
He has to be.
No, I get that. But what I'm saying is that enough for somebody like him or whatever?
I think so. Like I said, I think the main thing to take into account here is he's played at big clubs. He's gotten paydays, namely going and getting that huge payday whenever he was over in China.
Can you see Larry as a sub, to Brittany S's point? So Larry as a sub? I mean, just asking the question.
I think so, dude. He's 36, 37 years old now.
It's just tough to...
He is a guy who has played for a long time. I think that he is very mature at this point. I think he's captain material. And to that point, he wants this team to win, whatever it takes. And if he sees that there's this 6'3" stud center defensive midfielder who's going to come in and just release Darlington Nagbe onto MLS in a way that, I mean, Larry's doing now, but in a way that is going to be even more impactful. I think he could take a back seat. I don't think there's no ego check that's going to have to take place with Larentowicz.
But it's just one of those, it's one of those substitutions that I think is going to be more difficult for me personally, and most likely the rest of the fan base to swallow, because of the fact that Larry has been such a major cog in the Atlanta United machine that produces the efficiency that the team runs on in the midfield, that whenever he's not there, you do see the issues that take place and transpire in the middle of the field. It's not like the situation where somebody could at least, even me, where we were having this conversation about, like, do we really start Guzan over Can, blah, blah, blah. Can isn't doing anything wrong. Like, I can at least state, like, yes, Guzan was better, had more experience, all those other items. However, it's tough for me to justify because Larentowicz is a really, really good CDM.
Yeah, I can see that too. But at the same time, you were bringing in a guy who was starting in Europe, starting over, getting, again, a big payday in China. They don't just hand those out to anybody. They're trying to build their league. And yeah, so to Kelly's point, no way did Larry expect to play every game this year that was supposed to be Carmona. So...
yeah. Okay. So around the league, I only watched one other game because it was on yesterday. The bulk of Saturday was out. What do you keep doing?
I'm trying to pull up our reviews.
Oh my God.
And I don't know how to work an iPhone still after 6 months or whatever it's been.
So around the league, the only other game that I watched yesterday, because I was out most of the day Saturday, was the Orlando game, or the Orlando shit show, as it were. Down.
Talk to me a little bit about that, because they were down 2-0 to Portland going into the 80th minute, I believe, is whenever the first goal came.
I think so. And then I forget what the series of goals were that transpired. I know Dwyer obviously gets the last one that gets them the win. The PK that Question gets is off of one of the softest calls that I've seen. If you're going to make a point last week about LGP's shoulder to shoulder, 6 feet outside of the bound of play, you really should watch the shoulder to shoulder that Dom Dwyer gets the PK drawn on, because It is one of the softest calls I've seen in a long time. That sets up the second goal by Kljestan. Dom Dwyer obviously puts it away. I think it was Mueller that puts in the first one just minutes after he takes a crack from outside of the box. He happens to find some space and puts one away that gets them on the board, kind of lights a fire. The other thing is the wall, as it were, starts popping smoke. And I think I don't want to blame that on it, but it had to be distracting because it was a fog over that side of the field by the time Dom Dwyer scores that third goal.
That's fine. They have plenty of seats that were empty they could probably put vacuums.
No, they're not empty, dude. They get all those yellow t-shirts coordinated to spell out Orlando in the seats on the upper deck.
Let's see, that Dirty Bird person saying that Dom Flap fractionally ruined a great sports weekend.
Yeah, it was.
So we have Orlando winning for the second time in 2 weeks after a long losing streak.
It sucks because Sam Jones had one of the best tweets of the weekend, which was, until this win, Orlando has only won 2 games since June 1st.
That's insane. Now it's 3 games.
I know.
Yeah. No,
it's a little less fun.
Yeah. We see Sporting KC still in the top of the West, beating LA Galaxy 2-0. Nothing from Zlatan, really. Not right. His fault, really. And then we had Saturday slate of games. Again, wonky schedule is wonky. We have Philadelphia 1-1 with San Jose, Dallas and Colorado going 1-1. Chicago beating Columbus, which was a little bit of a shocker.
That was a big shocker.
Yeah, Nikolic got the Fire their first win. Real Salt Lake winning against Vancouver Whitecaps. So
it's a big shakeup.
If there's one thing that remains true about MLS, it's that no matter whatever I say, it's going to be the opposite the next week.
Yeah, I thought Atlanta was losing this past weekend. I said 3-2. LAFC is going to win. Too many inefficiencies on the back line. There's no way they're going to overcome it. LAFC's out for blood, and I'll be damned if I wasn't wrong.
Granted, I will say Vancouver's still in second. Again, the West is just not the East, man. I mean, you talk about what's crazy is New England is sitting in third right now.
Right.
Brad Friedel's doing work up there.
Yeah.
Orlando is above the line right now.
Ugh. Hate it.
Yeah, and they have a game in hand over Columbus. Granted, everybody in the East has at least one game in hand over Columbus. And then you had was it Montreal? It was it New England and Montreal on Friday night? Is that what it was?
I can't remember.
Anyway, fun season.
So yeah, this weekend NYC FC Villa's cleared to play. Like I said, I would love that if Barco and Villa get subbed in at the same time. It's probably not going to happen. I know that's not going to happen, but I would love it. We're going to do a live tailgate this weekend. Sorry guys, we missed last weekend. The weather, we were on our toes. Tim had a work thing come up, so just a matter of circumstance, we had to kind of cancel that last minute. This weekend's supposed to be gorgeous, though. We will be doing a live tailgate.
Yep.
At
we got our PA
live
up and
show
running.
at the tailgate.
Yeah,
we have the
good.
PA. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So come out to the Terminus Legion tailgate. We'll tweet out all the details about that, and we'll do a live show this weekend. Thoughts on NYC?
Thoughts on NYCFC? Yeah, it's a dangerous game. I mean, you see what they've been able to do. I think Wednesday is going to be a good barometer for that. But they continue to win even without Villa.
Kelly, I said I'd buy you a drink if they drew, not if they won. Go back and read it.
I think this is going to be a shootout. And I don't know. I think that I have a feeling we're going to draw them.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a 2-2, 3-3, kind of like the Orlando game at home in the Benz last year.
Yeah.
Something like that. But again, I mean, what they've been able to do without David Villa.
Yeah.
It's been impressive. They're the best team in the East. They're at the top of the standings until we beat them. Actually, you know what? Toronto is still the favorites until
I could see this easily going the opposite direction and not being a high-scoring game and being a low-scoring game because both teams are just pushing, and subsequently it's just which defense is going to fall flat first because for all intents and purposes, we should have our back line secured at this point going into this week for the most part anyway.
Yeah, we had the question in here whether or not anybody got the LAFC game correct in the predictions, and I don't believe anybody. No, nobody. The closest anybody got was a 4-2. No 5-0. So there's hoping.
Dan had 3-1. That was pretty close too.
Yeah, I had 3-1 too.
All right, guys.
So I kept shouting that Tito was going to get his hat trick.
That's right.
Was far from the case. So I say as always, we didn't start recording an hour early and we're 10 minutes later than we expected. Anyway, I will get the prediction sheet updated. You guys will be able to put in your score prediction for Sunday. GetHomeBeforeDark.com/predictions. Also go over to /fantasy if you want to play MLS with us and you're not playing MLS fantasy right now, or if you're playing and you want another league to join to try and win a cool prize pack. And then also GetHomeBeforeDark.com /shop. Go get some hats. We're going to get some new merch hitting there probably in the next week, I would say.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So we did, as always, if you leave us a rating review.
Wait, what's your score prediction?
Score prediction?
Yeah. What's
weekend?
Yours?
3-3.
I was going to go something similar. I think 2-2.
2-2.
I think we're due for a draw.
2-2. I think so too.
2-2.
Yeah, because we haven't had a draw yet this year.
No.
So
I'm going to pull 2-2.
4 wins, 1 loss.
2-2 on this week.
Let's see. We have. What I was going to say is anybody who leaves a review on iTunes or Stitcher, we will read it out on the show. And we got a couple this.
Did we get 2 this week?
We got 3. We got 3 new reviews on iTunes /Apple Podcasts. It's the same thing. So if you guys want to leave a review in there, it's pretty easy to do. And then also we did get one on Stitcher. So
did you pull up the Stitcher one?
I am doing that right now.
Okay. I'm trying to pull up iTunes. Of course, my phone is.
All right, I'll read the one off of here. Here you go.
Okay.
I'll read the one off of Stitcher real quick from Thurricane. Says 5 stars, great show. As a founding member whose husband's job transferred him and her to Colorado, I love listening to this podcast. I'm able to stream the games, but I sincerely miss the environment of the Atlanta United games. I still have my season tickets for when I get to return to Atlanta, and my seats are next to the supporter section. Listening to the guys and guests discuss the games, the issues, in parentheses, Flaggate, makes me feel connected to my hometown. Soccer in Denver is definitely not the same. Sad face. Having been to football in Latin America, our supporters section is on par, rowdy, enthusiastic, and colorful. Don't like it, move your seats. P.S. The flags and enthusiasm from the supporters section and the general level of noise is great on TV. # save the flags. I agree completely.
Okay. I have a talking point about the flags. We'll just keep it brief. Can anybody state whether or not some initiative took place prior to the game this weekend? Because I was paying particular attention to the flags following the past few weeks' discussions, and the flags during the pace of play are not up. And then during major plays, the flags go up. So I don't know if that's a regular thing that people don't realize, and then they're just basing their opinions on the entire game based on those few moments, or if some initiative took place prior to this weekend.
I think to Jay's point that he talked to us a while ago about whenever this first started surfacing,
I took pictures to document it.
They're getting used to it, right? They're getting used to how to fly those giant 40x40 flags or whatever it is.
At the same point, though, no, we read that one last.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did. Because
did we?
Dan read. Dan is the man.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Sorry.
But what was I saying? Oh yeah. So the last 3 goals of the game. First goal, Miggy scores it. Beers. I just look over the support section. Beers flying everywhere. And I was like, well, there goes everybody's beers. It's 88th minute at this point. That they just had to get rid of them. Then the next PK happens. Somehow more beers fly. And then there's still more after the 3rd goal. So those of you that were there, I hope you brought a poncho, because those last 5 minutes were a storm of sorts.
I think this one is appropriate for you to read. Granted, I'm the first one that drops an F-bomb at the beginning of last show, I think. I don't know. It might be both of us were doing a Bill O'Reilly impression for those of you guys who don't know.
So the title is High, 5 stars, by K-Roll Wife. It's Roll RO11, which was K-Roll was a guy that we had a review from a couple weeks ago. I do not listen to your podcast, but my husband does. He just made me listen to y'all read his emoji /flags review. My son also just learned the F word, so thanks. He's going to be so surprised when he hears you guys reading this. I hope he gets a kick out of it. Thank you for contributing to the soccer culture of Atlanta.
I think that's fantastic. We're teaching children F-bombs.
I screwed that up. Go back.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah. And now I got to scroll all the way to the bottom.
It's just so many reviews.
Yeah. Sorry about it. This one is Amazeballs, 5 stars. C. Tyler Scott saying, one of my favorite podcasts to see pop up on my app with a new download. It's anarchy with just a dash of structure to still make some small amount of sense. Personally, I'm ready to dive into Atlanta United conversations at any time. And with anyone that will listen, this podcast gives me that outlet. Other drivers probably think I'm talking on my phone in the car but really I'm just making nonstop sarcastic comments, agreeing with or telling the guys they are wrong. All in all, yeah, mostly you. All in all, one of the best ways for me to pass the time between matches and keep me pumped about the next game. Entertaining would be an understatement. Keep up the good work. So,
if you want your review read on the show, be sure to throw it up on iTunes or Stitcher. We get those. We kind of check those out too. Anywhere where there's a review option, throw up a review and we'll read it on the show.
Yeah, I don't think I got to this last week because I'm not sure if the baby was born yet, but listener in the UK, Sam Langford, just had a baby. Congratulations, man. Glad she's healthy and all that, both mom and baby. So
yeah. And speaking of babies, in just a few moments, you'll hear from Dan with more news, which I don't think we've officially stated, and I'm not going to put it on blast now, but we'll let him talk about it. You haven't heard his audio segment. I listened on the way here. Preface this by saying if there's a lot of shade at me, I'm not going to hold it against him. Clearly, he's got a lot of things happening in his life right now.
He doesn't throw much shade my way.
One of them being that he's losing to me in fantasy. So it's
I think part of me is like sad that I don't get a lot of shit from anybody. Like
you do from me.
Yeah, I do from you. But that's been for the past almost 20 years at this point. I get portrayed as Hitler in a video, but that was really, I mean, in a sense, the way that he was orchestrating that video, it's kind of flattering because I'm the leader.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. Wow, that's gonna get chopped up.
Yep.
Yeah. That's great.
So yeah, thank you guys so much each and every week for checking out the show, leaving your reviews, subscribing, telling friends, buying stickers, buying hats, supporting us however you do. We love the hell out of you guys and appreciate each and every one of you. You can find us all on Twitter to continue the conversation. We are all three tweeting. Dan may be a little bit more drunk than even myself at times, like he was.
Dude, yeah, he was lit on Saturday.
He was lit Saturday. So you can find all of us, including Dan, who doesn't even put in his Twitter handle in his segment, but you can find him at DNJMS. Tim, where can they find you at?
You can find me at my name. That's Tim Herb.
You can find me as well at The Architect. That's at _ARC, the number 1 TECT. Collectively at Home Before Dark. That's before spelled B and the number 4. Check out gethomebeforedark.com with all the different // to find all the fun and exciting things that we're rolling out. And we'll roll out to the Gulch this weekend to see you guys. Be sure to check the Twitter, check the Instagram. See me hanging out with Darren Eels.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing. Kevin's BFFs with Darren Eels now.
Yeah,
I didn't want to go up to him.
He's apparently a huge fan of the show.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He said it's his favorite one out of all of them.
And there are a lot of them.
I know, more and more every day.
And just to put this out there, we love you, Eric. There's no.
You flatter him by assuming that A, he listens to the show, and B, that he's listening this long into the show.
Did you just make the silent T and listen, not silent? It's
a new thing, dude.
It's one thing.
It's a real thing. people do that.
It's one thing when you say often or often.
Listen. Listen to me.
I was listening to the show last night. You're
all
ridiculous.
Right, guys. We'll see you next time, and by next time I mean Sunday. Until then, as always, get home before dark. Darren, yell something.